losing weight changed my life. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, make sure you subscribe, like this video, share it with a friend. So in today's video, I want to talk about one of the two ways that you likely found me or found my channel. Either you found me from my fitness journey, or you found me from maybe my entrepreneurial journey, or you found me on TikTok, which is where all of those different things live. I want to just hop on and kind of talk about my fitness journey, just share a little bit about like my background, like growing up, how I eventually started my fitness journey, how I lost my weight, and also how I have maintained over the years. We're gonna take it all the way back. Growing up, I'm from Detroit. Detroit is not an incredibly active city. So growing up, I was the bookworm. I was the kid that wanted to go to the library over the park. I was the kid who really enjoyed school. And I was also the kid who had no interest in sports or playing games outside. It just was not my thing. And so I was also the kid who loved to eat, okay? Love food. I had to, like, if you ask my mom or my dad, they will literally crack you up with how I was as a kid. So, you know, you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If I ate, like, breakfast really late, when it was time for lunch, I still wanted lunch. Oh, we had lunch at 4 o'clock and dinner's at 6. I want dinner at 6. I was serious about my meal times. I was serious about my food. And growing up, my grandmother was like the best cook in the world. I loved eating her cooking. And so every opportunity I got to have a good meal, sign me up, sign me up. I've also always had a tremendous sweet tooth, even since I was a kid. So dessert was always my favorite part of Thanksgiving. I was never really crazy about candy. Like I was never like a Starburst, Jolly Rancher. Like I never really cared for those kinds of candies, but chocolate, very much yes. So, you know, I had asthma and I was on a lot of different medications that made me start gaining weight very, very young. So by the time I was in like maybe 2nd grade, I was visibly overweight. And that continued throughout my life. So I was the chubby kid in elementary school. I was the chubby kid in middle school. I was the chubby kid all in high school. Really through most of my early adult years until maybe my mid-20s, I was heavier. I played like softball and volleyball in school, but I was never the student athlete. I was more I want my student resume to look very good. I wanted to look good for college applications. And I also just really like being involved in a bunch of different things. So me playing volleyball and softball wasn't necessarily because I loved the sport. For me, it was more so something else to do just to stay busy. Make it through, you know, elementary school. Of course, I got bullied, which gave me a very thick skin. Also is very integral to me developing the sense of humor that I have today, because one thing you cannot be the chubby kid with no sense of humor, because school and life are very, very hard for you. And so very early on, I learned how to beat people to the punch when it came to jokes about my size. And I also just developed a thicker skin, understanding that you have to be coming from a bad place to talk about me. And so I'm not going to let you win type of thing, I think was my attitude. Especially like once I got into like middle school and high school, I just wasn't as sensitive about my weight anymore. But as I got older, entering like the real world, I went to school my first year and I remember feeling left out. And it was, I think it was more so my perception of situations, but I remember feeling kind of like I couldn't shop the same places as my friend. I couldn't do those types of things. And so it was very difficult, you know, coming up in like my freshman year of college, because I felt left out. And when I received male attention, I will always kind of question it because I didn't date in high school. So my weight was kind of like this very deep-seated type of source of frustration. I never felt like shame or necessarily like I never felt bad about myself, but more so I think it made me question myself and question who I was. Do people like me? Am I, you know, like that type of thing. It really messed with like my self-esteem when it came to that type of stuff. But as far as like me being insecure about my physical appearance, I never really dealt with that. It was more so mental. I worked for an airline and I was like, wow, I would love to be a flight attendant. Applied to be a flight attendant and could not fit in the jump seat. So that was one of those situations where as an adult, my size was starting to impact the way I wanted to live. I wasn't really a fan of not having the life that I felt like I wanted just because of my size. But I also had, I think, begun to accept that I was meant to be heavier because that was my reality my whole life. I was always heavier. When I got that wake-up call for the flight attendant position about not being able to fit in the jump seat and that essentially disqualifying me from working in that position, I'm like, okay, hold on. Okay. Like, it just was one of those things that it was a core memory that at the time, I think I underestimated how significant it would be to like the grand scheme of things. My first couple of jobs, I stayed on my feet most of the day. So even though my eating habits were not the best, I was moving around enough so that I wasn't just packing on weight. 2011, I got my very first like office 9-to-5 job. That was when everything changed. So I was eating at my desk, eating whatever I wanted to. I still was eating like I was before, but I wasn't on my feet. I wasn't walking around all day. I wasn't moving around my entire shift. I was really just sitting there adding weight. The summer of, I believe, the summer of 2013, I saw a picture of myself. Okay, before I get there, let me back it up. Over those years, I had like gym memberships. I had friends I would try to be active with, but it just wasn't something that was natural for me, nor was it something that ever was shown in a positive light. So working out was always viewed, for me, I always viewed it through the lens of you're fat and you need to be unfat. And so I never saw the joy or the benefit that came from working out outside of it was something that fat people did to be unfat. Because the only time anybody would talk to me about working out or moving around or whatever, it was always through the lens of you need to lose weight. As I got older, working out was something that I viewed very begrudgingly and something that I resented because it almost was, for me, a confirmation of how unwell my body was. And that was just purely based on one, my perception of things, but also some of the things that I was just fed over the years, no pun intended, but that I was fed over the years about being overweight. Let's fast forward. I had gym memberships at Planet Fitness. I was never a lazy person, like to where I just like laid around, but I definitely was not in a space where I was prioritizing my health or even really being conscious of my health as far as what I ate and what I did on a regular basis. 2013, or actually was that 2012? Might have been 2012. At any rate, we had this huge celebration for my grandmother. I wore a dress that I made, and when the pictures came back after the event, I saw myself in the background of one of the photos, and I'll try to put it here. I saw myself in the background of one of the photos, and I did not recognize myself. I literally looked at this picture and was like, this is my dress. But who is this? Because I did not recognize my body. That was a huge wake-up call for me. However, again, I didn't know anybody who was particularly active. I didn't know anybody who worked out on a regular basis. It was something that was pretty foreign to me. So even after seeing that photo, I remember just kind of being like, okay, I need to do something. I remember kind of going to like the park nearby and like walking around the track and trying to run up and down the stairs. But at this point, I'm like 285 pounds. So running up and down stairs is not necessarily the best thing ever. And I also had been dealing with knee problems since high school. I'm way too heavy for my joints at this point because I'm just not comfortable. And I'm kind of in a space where it's like, okay, this can't go on. Like, you got to figure something out. But I really, I really did not know what to do. Okay, I had never been active. I had never had a regular workout routine. Like I said, there was nobody in my life who was particularly active. And so I just felt like I was at a crossroads, honestly. Like, how am I going to reclaim my body? How am I going to reclaim my health? So I remember just kind of like I said, I was going to the track here. I was trying to do this. I had a gym membership. Let me go and walk on the treadmill. But it was something that I felt so uncomfortable doing that I just didn't know. I didn't know how to do it. Like, I didn't know how to work out. I didn't know what I should and shouldn't be doing in the gym. And so it was very, very intimidating for me early on. So fast forward to 2013, and a very close friend of mine is very active in the gym at this point. Working out pretty regularly. And for me, I'm like, well, if that's our time to hang out, I'll go to the gym with you. I mean, at this point, I'm not happy. I think I was in like if I'm not mistaken, I was kind of in a weird relationship and kind of needed the mental escape. And this friend was someone that I really enjoyed being around. So knowing that they were going to the gym on a regular basis, I'm like, well, if nothing else, this is a chance for us to hang out and just kind of take my mind off of everything I had going on. Started going to the gym with him. He was paying $5 every single time I went to the gym with him. But in the beginning, I was only going once here, once there. Not enough to justify a gym membership. I just wasn't consistent enough. August 1st. So before August 1st, I had started going like maybe once a week. I wasn't consistent, like as far as a multiple day a week kind of routine, but I was going like maybe one day a week. I look up, it's July. My birthday is in September, and I'm kind of doing the math. If I can just commit to making some changes for like 8 weeks, I can change my life. Like, I can lose 20 pounds, I can feel good in my skin, and it'll all be fine. So my same friend, my same workout partner, had been vegetarian at that point for about a year. I was like, you know what? I'll try being vegetarian. He ranted and raved about it. He had lost maybe like almost 100 pounds at that point from when he started back the year before. So by this time, I feel like, okay, I have somebody to kind of go through this process with me. Let's do it, right? Let's do it. August 1st, 2013, I stopped eating meat cold turkey. So that included chicken, beef, fish, red meat, pork. I stopped cold turkey August 1st, 2013. I spent my days at work. I was working at a hospital at the time. I spent my days at work looking up recipes, printing out recipes, and really just committing to doing this for 8 weeks. August 1st was literally 8 exact weeks from my birthday. I committed to this change for 8 weeks. I'm like, I can do working out regularly, which I think at that point was like 2 or 3 days a week, cutting out meat, cutting out largely, I'm not gonna say completely, but largely cutting alcohol out of my diet. Over the course of that 8 weeks, once we get to my birthday, I'm down 17 pounds, and I'm really invested in this vegetarian journey at this. And I'm also starting to see the good that comes from my consistency in the gym. I didn't have hard goals as far as like, okay, I'm gonna work out this many days for this amount of time. I just wanted to keep going, right? Like I said, I had no knowledge of a fitness journey, working out, any of that. So I just wanted to be consistent. I feel like I owed it to myself to be consistent, even if just for that 8 weeks. And then at the end of the 8 weeks, we'll see what happens. We'll go from there. When my birthday comes, I feel good. I'm down 17 pounds. I'm consistent in the gym. At this point, I had figured out how to eat without feeling deprived. So I was cooking at least 3 or 4 days a week, sometimes more. And the reason I was so invested in cooking is because I wanted to do this vegetarian thing right. In 2013, there were only a couple of brands that offered meat alternatives, and they weren't like Impossible or Beyond, right? They were like black bean burgers and soy protein burgers and like that type of thing. So I didn't want to become dependent on substitutes, because I felt like that was cheating myself out of the opportunity to really invest in like a total lifestyle change. I became very disciplined with my diet over that 8 weeks. I was like drinking my protein in the morning. I was making my breakfast. I was making my lunch. I was like getting enough rest. Like I was just really on top of it at that time. And so the end of the 8 weeks comes. My friends throw me a surprise birthday party this particular year. They had one of my favorite dish at the time was like chicken Alfredo pasta. And I would not eat it. And they literally went out, like they went out of their way to get this for me for my birthday, because everybody knew I had given up meat for that 2 months. So they're like, okay, let's get her favorite food. I literally would not eat it. I ate the salad, and I think I ate a piece of cake. And like, that was it on my birthday. I didn't eat any of the pasta. At that point, I knew I was like hooked on, if nothing else, I was hooked on the process of pushing myself to do more. After this 8 weeks, I had completely changed my life. Just even the mindset was completely different, because prior to that 8 weeks, working out 4 days a week was totally unheard of for me. It wasn't even a thing. It wasn't even a thing. So the end of the 8 weeks, I'm invested in my journey. Like I said, I'm cooking, I'm eating right, I'm seeing results. I'm down 17 pounds. I had never done that before. I had never lost any weight like on purpose before. And so I'm feeling really good. Like I'm like, okay, we can do this. We can do this. So over the next, let's say 6 months, so from October to that following April, I had lost another like 60-ish pounds, 65 pounds. And what's crazy is, and you hear this from people who have undergone like weight loss transformations, you'll hear that like you don't even notice. Like I didn't, at the end of that 8 weeks, I didn't even notice the 17 pounds I had lost. Mind you, I was 285 pounds. So to be down 17 pounds, I still was almost 270. So it's not like the 17 pounds took me from thick to slim. Okay, I was still very much a heavier girl, but it was just the seeing the number on the scale was motivation for me to keep going and just see what happens. From my consistency, I was working out at that point, after my birthday, I was working out about 4 to 5 days a week, sometimes 6. And at that point, I really started to just get invested. And again, I noticed my progress very, very slowly. So much to the point that I had lost 50 pounds in 4 months and my mind still hadn't caught up to it. And overall, went on to lose about 80 pounds. A little, I'll say maybe like between 75 and 80 pounds. So I went from 285 to like 209, I think was like the smallest I can remember. I just remember like feeling like the world opened up for me. And not that I wasn't able to access opportunities prior to my weight loss. I had conditioned myself to believe that my opportunities were limited because of my size. Because if you remember, I tried to be a flight attendant and literally couldn't fit in the jump seat. And so that became the catalyst for very limiting beliefs where myself and my size were concerned. After I lost the weight, like I said, I never struggled with confidence as far as like thinking that I was a better or worse person because of my size. But believing that opportunities were endless, that nothing was off limits to me because I had, one, overcome one of the greatest barriers of my life, which had always been my size. But also I felt like if I can do this, I can do anything. And so when I talk to people about a weight loss journey, I talk about how important it is to stay present for the mental aspect of the transformation, because that is what will serve you in your life going forward. Obviously, it's great to, you know, to look better or to feel stronger or look slimmer or whatever your goals are. Obviously, that's great. But more than anything, the greatest takeaway from a major weight loss transformation or any type of transformation that you're able to complete is that you were able to overcome whatever obstacles were in your path in order to achieve your end result. For me, that was where the opportunities opening up came from, because at that point, I'm like, okay, well, if I, somebody who was overweight my entire life, if I can make changes to my lifestyle to literally transform into a new body, you literally couldn't tell me anything about my abilities at that point. Gym was bae, you know what I mean? That was 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. And I always talk about like over that time, I've gained and lost weight. Now, the most I've ever gained was like 25 pounds. And I've lost the 25 and I've gained the 20 and I've lost the 20. And that's happened a couple of times. And that's more so just due to lifestyle. Like when I became a flight attendant, it was hard for me to stay active just because the schedule was so crazy. It took me a while to figure out how to stay as active as I wanted to stay and still enjoy my experience as a flight attendant. And also just do all the other things I was doing. There was a point I was in school, you know, and and I do like to share this, during that initial stretch of time from August 1st, 2013 through to that next April, during that time, I was a full-time employee. I was working 40 hours a week. I was a full-time student. I also was working out an hour to an hour and a half every single day, while maintaining a 4.0 grade point average. I was working my butt off. It's a testament to you prioritizing what it is that you say that you want, but also understanding that if you declare that you want something, that God will make space for it in your life. Even if like you look at the schedule and you're like, where does this time come from? Where does it fit in? If you proclaim that it's something that you want to do and you're really committed to making the changes to get there, then like trust that God is going to make it. He's going to make a way for it. Like I'm a testament to that. I stayed full vegetarian with no seafood at all for 7 years. And then, like I said, 2020, I decided to try salmon again and just like incorporate it because I wanted more protein, because I was tired of like the protein powders all the time. I wasn't in the mood for tofu. I didn't want to eat eggs all the time. So I just was kind of struggling in that way. 2019, I was in the best shape of my life. For me, when life gets tough, I commit myself to the gym even more because it's a space for me to, one, prioritize myself, but but also a space for me to safely transfer the energy that comes from being stressed or being down or, you know, feeling just depressed or whatever. It was a healthy way for me to discharge that energy. 2019, I started training, and it really just kind of happened out of like me working out with like friends and then people being like, oh, I kind of want to work out with you. And I noticed that my space in training was more so of a gym bestie versus a drill sergeant personal trainer. If you have the willpower to get up and go to the gym, then odds are you just need someone there to kind of like root you on, show you maybe if you have questions about things. But I really took a very personalized and I guess what some may call an informal approach to training, because I really wanted to make an impressionable impact on my clients' lives that would be able to keep them on track for years to come. And I am proud to say a couple of my early clients are still active today. And so that makes me very happy, because they could have stopped working out with me and just gave up. And so I'm very proud of them. You know who you are. I'm very proud of you that you kept going despite everything. Started training 2019, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to get my personal training certification. And did not, because I was again in school full-time finishing my bachelor's in aviation security. It just wasn't enough time to do another course on top of getting a bachelor. It just was too much. So 2020, as we know, was the year of the pandemic, and I was training 4 or 5 clients around that time, right before March 2020. And when everything started to get shut down, I was left feeling defeated, because I had started building this personal training business and now I can't even train my clients because the gyms are closed. It forced me to create Quarantine Fit. Quarantine Fit was an Instagram live workout program that I did for free 3 days a week, all throughout quarantine. So I started it in March of 2020, and I did not end Quarantine Fit until June of 2020. I was in the best shape of my life at the end of Quarantine Fit. At the end of 2021, at this point I had been an entrepreneur for almost 2 years, and life started lifing. Through a breakup, just like some family issues and just a lot of stress from running my own business, I started to gain weight again because I had completely lost my love for the gym. It was a space that felt foreign to me. It was a space that did not feel nurturing to me for that reason. And so I completely stopped going to the gym pretty much in the fall of 2021. Early spring of 2022, I realized I had gained about 25, maybe a little more, but I want to say almost 30 pounds. I remember struggling with the feeling of defeat coupled with the feeling of shame, because it was like, how did you let yourself go? But then I also had like this tremendous belief in my power. I had this belief in my muscle memory that I needed to find my love for being active again. I needed to find my love for moving my body again. So I got on YouTube and I learned how to salsa, merengue. I want to say I did a Zumba class. I just got up every morning, turned on YouTube, and just moved. I would turn my Apple Watch on, and my goal would be to burn 300 calories. And for me, I had to get to a point to where I'm like, burning 300 calories a day is better than nothing. Because prior to that, I had a whole campaign called Burn a Stack or Better, where I was burning over 1,000 calories every workout. So you have to think, for me to get to a point to where I'm like, I just want to burn 300. That was a huge moment of acceptance for me to say, okay, even though there was a time in your life where this was child's play, right now you understand that that's all you need right now. Like, just to get to that next level, you need to be able to burn this 300 calories to stay focused, right? I started doing all the dance classes and eventually was able to reintroduce myself to the gym on a more consistent basis. Because prior to that, like I said, I had completely lost my love for the gym. So I would do like 10 minutes on the elliptical and I would leave. And I would make up excuses like, oh, there are other people in here. That machine's not working. Can't find the handle for the cable machine. Like, any reason for me not to stay in the gym, I found it. So after my YouTube Fitness Club sessions that carried me through the first quarter of 2022, I began to go back to the gym. I felt insecure at first. Just because I felt like I had been so far removed, but also it was my first time coming from a much larger size than I had been in almost 10 years at that point. And also having to go into that space alone. I started with a workout partner. So going into that space alone, having to kind of like start from this higher weight and really have to work on my own to get it down, it was very, very hard for me. I didn't even realize the mental implications of that whole process, right? Because there were years where me and my workout partner weren't in the same city, but there was also forward progression on my part. So I never got so far away from myself that I felt like I needed my workout partner back. Over the course of spring 2022, you know, I moved back home summer of 2022, and really through early 2023, I managed to get my weight back down, but also get into the best shape of my life because I introduced weight training as a more consistent part of my workout routine, as opposed to something I just kind of casually did. And so over the years, my weight loss journey has been a huge part of my life. My fitness journey, my weight loss journey. I always say they're different because you could desire to be in better shape, but you might not necessarily need to lose weight. And then you have individuals who are really interested in losing weight. They want to see that number on the scale change. And so that's kind of how I differentiate the two. I'm coming into this space now that I'm in, you know, I'm healthier than I've ever been. I feel more motivated than ever. I'm just in a space where I really want to kind of use my journey to help other people, because I know how important it is to be healthy. I know how important it is to prioritize your health. One thing that I talk about a lot, how were you able to stay vegetarian all those years? And for me, I've been asthmatic my entire life. And prior to changing my diet and my workout habits, I would get the most terrible respiratory infections. And I would get them twice a year like clockwork. And they would put me down from anywhere from 10 to like 14 days. Twice a year. And that wasn't counting, you know, having to carry a rescue inhaler and just really having like an inconvenienced life due to an issue that was exacerbated by my size, right? Excuse me. So what made me stay vegetarian was the fact that my respiratory infections effectively disappeared. And I haven't had to carry a rescue inhaler in about 7 years. Losing weight changed my life. Like, it absolutely changed my life. Changing my diet changed my life. Committing to my health changed my life. And I am so much better for it. It has connected me to so many people. And so when I talk about, you know, my vegetarian, you know, being vegetarian or losing weight, I'm always speaking from someone who has gone through it. It's never coming from a place of judgment. I'm never coming from a place of superiority, because I've been there. I started at day one a couple of times, you know what I'm saying? And I had my own issues with finally getting to where I am today. So I know the journey full well. I'm always just like, you know, on my social media platforms, just encouraging people to move and encouraging people to make simple but better choices. Or maybe you drink 3 pops a day. Maybe just cut one out. You know what I mean? I really take a realistic approach to fitness and wellness, because I think that is how you create sustainable, long-lasting change, as opposed to kind of ending up in a fad dieting, exercising kind of space where you're just constantly yo-yoing. The top question I get whenever I put like a question box on Instagram and I'm like, hey, ask me your weight loss questions or ask me your fitness questions, the number one question I get is always like, keeping your weight off. And for me, taking a sustainable approach from day one is how you keep your weight off. And by sustainable, I mean a way that is realistic for your lifestyle. I think if you give anybody a strict meal plan that cuts their calories in half and turns their workouts up, you know, by 40%, they're going to lose weight, right? But how are they going to fare with that type of strictness or that's all those limitations when it's just time to live life? I'm a big proponent of moderation over deprivation, because I think that in order to live a full life, you need to be able to enjoy the things that make you happy, but in moderation. So like I said, I've always had a sweet tooth. I'm very careful about, you know, my sugar intake now, but I don't deprive myself of sugar. So if I want a little bite of something sweet, I'm gonna have a little bite of something sweet. Always considering how that may or may not impact my fitness goals or my weight loss goals, because being accountable is very important. And we can talk about that more in another video. So this is to inspire any one of you who are watching. Maybe you're not comfortable with your size. Maybe you're just not comfortable in your body. Maybe you're not even necessarily like overweight, but you're just not comfortable in your body. I encourage you to start moving. I encourage you to change your diet or make changes to your diet until you feel better in your skin. Because ultimately, that is something that you deserve. That's not something for anybody else. That is something that you deserve. You deserve to wake up and feel good every single day. And if you have the power to change that, then I think you should definitely harness that power and put it to use so that you're able to turn your life up. It can be a huge morale boost to show yourself what you're capable of. It's to turn your motivation up, turn your inspiration up, turn your confidence up. Is to show up for yourself in the best way possible. And I think starting with your health is a pretty great place to begin that journey. So thank you guys so much for watching. I know that was a lot. I do want to announce that I will be launching online coaching soon. And it's just really a way to support. I have a lot of followers, and my community is really spread all over the country. And so this is a way for me to offer training and just support to people all over who may need someone to keep them inspired on their weight loss journey, or just to kind of hold their hand through the whole process, understanding that you're going to have good days and bad days, but to have someone there to support you is so important. So if you are interested in being notified when online coaching goes live, I want you to visit the Beacons link in the description box. Click it and scroll down and enter your email, and I will make sure I let you know when online coaching is open, and I'll even have an introductory offer for anybody who signs up early. So thank you guys so much for watching. Again, don't forget to subscribe, share this video with someone that you know may benefit from this information, or someone that you may need to hold you accountable, and maybe they need to know a little bit about what you're going through if this resonated with you. And I will talk to y'all soon. Thank you for watching.